That's cool that you lived through it. You're lucky. You had such a good childhood. It's good. No, it's good.
Thanks.
I can relate.
This wasn't supposed to make anyone sad.
No, it's not making you sad, but I'm going to tell you because like
you had cool things. You went to Australia. You went to Europe. You worked.
Hello, Julie.
Hi, Helen.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Good to see you.
It feels like summer here, which is so weird that it's like April. But
it does not feel like summer here. And it's not that it doesn't feel like it. It's just been gray and rainy a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'm just waiting for some sunshine. But, you know, I'm fine. Busy. Keep myself busy when it's rainy. I don't care. I just feel like very productive when it's rainy.
Yeah, you get to stay. I do like when it rains in LA because then I feel like I have an excuse to stay inside.
I know. It's like you could be very productive when it rains. Yeah. You just have no guilt about being in all day and doing stuff. So
exactly.
That's good. Well, so since our last episode, we talked about LA and my little trip. And has anything, I noticed that you have something that you're going to post this week, which was a little dark humor, which I think is funny. We could talk about that for a second because I like that you sent it to me. You sent it to me for approval.
I know. Well, I was like, this is kind of dark. Well, last week I said I wanted to be more consistent with social media. So that is the goal. I went to an open mic that records the sets. And then I had a really good set that I was like, oh, I can use a lot of these for social media clips. And I think that's going to be part of my strategy is like every week going to this mic to get some tape so that I have clips that aren't necessarily like, you know, long workshopped jokes, but enough so that I have social media content.
Correct. Question. Do they record it or you have to pay for that recording?
You have to pay for it, but it's only $5.
Oh, that's worth it. That's money well spent.
Exactly.
Oh, excellent. So you can have
so
because then you have some social. Yeah, you have clips and content
all about
social.
Clips.
Do they record it vertically like that, or you?
No,
it?
but I can clip it. It's like good enough. It's a high quality enough camera.
Good. Oh, it's a great idea. It's great.
So
I think that's really helpful.
I know. I think.
Oh, and that'll make you want to workshop more stuff, so you have more
exactly.
content. Oh, I like the strategy. Ooh, cool. You know what's funny? Well, Ben, who listens to our podcast and also does comedy in New York, when he saw me post something where it said, "Guess who's performing," and he thought it was me, and I was like, "I'm so sorry to disappoint, but I didn't really make the leap yet." And maybe it'll happen at some point, but
I need to. There's so many things going on, but I need to figure out producing a show when I'm out there. But just too many things.
We have too many things. We have very many things going on, and it's like at some point I have to let things go and say, okay, that's not yet. Like we'll get to that eventually. The timing will, because this whole decision that we've made work-wise to move our studio is very time-consuming and has been taking up a lot of brain space for both of us. But it's going to be so worth it. So worth it in the end. Like I feel it. I
agree.
We're on the cusp of greatness.
We are. I feel it too.
We are. I know. I just got a message. All right, two things I have to tell you on a personal note. So
do you want this in the podcast or do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it can stay in the podcast. Just because I sent it to you. I don't even know if you had a chance to read the email, but we got a message because I've been doing every week in the studio, I answer questions. And one of the people who asked was 62 and saying that her and her husband he and his wife do cosplay. And I guess they should think of something else if they want to monetize. And I wrote them a very thoughtful response to the question because I do feature the questions, and I wrote them a thoughtful response about, well, don't really think you have to automatically teach in order to make money because that's not necessarily the case. And I gave them all these ideas. They wrote me the nicest message back. Like, thank you for taking the time to come with such a thoughtful answer to the question. I was like almost crying. So I realized that we are so on the right path and that I just know it's going to be huge. I feel it. I feel it. So that was my first thing. My second thing, I don't even think I told you this. So last night, and this is why, hold on, let me get a prop. I need to get a prop.
Oh boy.
Okay. My baton is in the house. Porte-clés. Because last night, a girl messaged me on TikTok, and I was like, I don't know. You never know how old someone is. Clearly seemed like a teenager. But the message was, I saw your baton twirling lesson. Do you have any more lessons like this? Because I learned so much from your lesson. First of all, that was from like a year or so more ago.
Yeah.
I made this baton, like, here's how to twirl a baton, like almost as a joke. And so when she found it, I guess, in the search and messaged me, and I was like, oh, I don't, but I'd be happy to make you another tutorial. What are you looking to do? And she was telling me how helpful the lesson was and how she's trying out for baton twirling in her high school. Like, are you kidding me? This can't even be real, that I have reached from one little video that was posted a year ago that's not even in my niche. It was just a random thing I posted, reached someone and is helping them to, like, I'm helping a teenager. I don't know. It just hit me. So I brought my baton to the city, and I'm going to make her a follow-up tutorial. And I'm going to say, I don't care if my followers like it or don't like it. They're going to learn how to twirl fingers on the next baton lesson.
Oh my gosh.
And I just feel
So
that
cute.
It's so cute. And I'm on such a path. And then, of course, you know what I thought of after that? I'm like, oh my God,
gosh, the ADHD is showing.
I'm going to be able to teach baby P how to twirl a baton one day. I can't. I'm going to cry.
I can't.
So I can't. So I got all the things swirling around my head, knowing that we're so, like, it just feels so good to know what kind of path that we're on together, because we are on this together. And that's what I think when you get to be creative is when you shine, and it's all happening. Like, you're coordinating and creating behind the scenes, and you're just making it happen. So I am so thankful. I'm
Trying my best.
Thank you.
Well, let me tell you some jokes, my brain rot jokes, because
Let's go.
the past few weeks I've been getting a lot of ideas right before my head hits the pillow. And so I, with my eye mask, I lift my eye mask, I open one eye, and I type as much as I can type.
I could feel
while
you.
still staying in the sleepy space. And then I go back and I turn over. And then like 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh, I have another idea. And I do the same thing. And I'm like typing. And I'm like, me and my friend Erin are like, we need to get voice recorders so that we can just like pick it up, say our idea, and then put it down. So
except then you're disturbing the person next to you. But usually Steven.
Well, I go to this always happens before Steven comes to bed. So it doesn't matter.
I have the opposite problem. I'm always
and if I did Steven's like the deepest sleeper, I could be like, joke
whispering it.
Yeah. Okay, so here are some of the ideas that I get as my head hits the pillow.
Let's go.
This is one that I had in the middle of the night the other day. I'm going to start off strong. Actually, no, I'm going to do something else. I want to do a bit about how I'm not a vulgar comic. I don't talk about like sex or any of that stuff because I think I would get embarrassed on stage. Yet somehow talking about all my anxieties, insecurities, trauma isn't embarrassing.
That is funny. It's true.
Like, what am I doing here?
That is so weird.
Another idea I had is that being prone to fainting feels like I would not have made it far. I would not have made it very far back in the olden days.
Why is that?
Because like there wasn't any, like things were so much grosser back. And like, I'm thinking like Middle Ages. I'm thinking like Stone Age when there's like cavemen. Like I wouldn't have survived watching someone get their head impaled. I wouldn't have survived watching someone get their head chopped off, like the witches thrown in. I'd be fainting left and right and then I'd be a witch.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah, that would be me and you would be both out and
be out of there.
I'd be passing out.
This one was inspired because one day Tommy texted me and he asked me, he's like, can you teach me how to take better food photography? And so I need to write something about how we're opposites that I ask him for help with taxes and retirement and he asks me how to take pictures of food.
Okay, that works.
Okay, this is one that I got in the middle of the night and I thought it was so funny. I hope that you think it's funny or you relate to it or people with sensitive stomachs can relate to this issue.
Okay. Oh boy.
I envisioned this just being a one-liner in the middle of a set, no follow-up, no anything else. Here it is.
Okay.
You ever fart so hard you engage your core?
That's not good.
I thought you were going to love that.
No, I'm not loving that one.
You don't like the fart
That's all
joke?
you.
My one fart joke.
There was somebody. Oh, there was a TikTok. I have to stay on the topic of the fart now because there was a TikTok of this dad who's like, of all the things that I've done in my life that I feel are impressive, I'm going to share this thing that just happened. And he sent it apparently to his family group
yes,
chat.
I saw that.
And then his daughter posted it. I think I might have sent it to you.
Yeah.
That he farted a tune or something. And he was so impressed with his tune. And I'm like, this is such a dad thing to do, to text to a group chat, to the family group. Yeah. I don't know. But I don't know. You can run with that fart joke if you want to, but
I don't think I'm going to go very far with it. It's just a little rough.
Okay.
I want to do a whole bit about guns because I think it's funny that like my first encounter with guns was like going paintballing for my friend's birthday party when I was like 13.
Oh.
And I started like brainstorming on this idea. And like guns are so like thought like going paintballing would be so like intense. And, I'd love being able to shoot a gun until I got shot in the boob. I don't know if you remember this, but I got shot in the boob. And then I was like, oh my God, it was like the worst. And then I was like, I hate guns. And then I was kind of riffing on that idea. And I was like, guns are stupid because it's the weakest form of violence. All you have to do is, and you can kill somebody. You could go,
that seems wrong.
You could just,
you're right.
If you got to train for it, it's just,
wow. No. I don't like it.
And then I had some ideas where it's like, back in the day, if you really wanted to hurt someone, you had to get creative. You had to put your back into it, literally. Like you couldn't just hit a button.
Right.
That one I tried at an open mic, and sometimes I feel like the observational stuff doesn't come across well for me. Like it's just not I'm more the personal stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Personal stories. I could see that.
So those are some of my jokes.
Okay. And what is the one that you just put on the social media? You're going to put on social media this morning. You sent it to me and you were like, is this okay?
Well, because it's I went to an open mic, again, same open mic where I have these clips from. And another girl there was talking about how she was having all these like things happen to her. And she's like, she said something along the lines of like, I feel like God is putting me through these things so that I have content. And then I got up and I was like,
that's funny. I didn't know that's
be careful what you wish for, because a couple years ago, my mom, who is an influencer, said, I think my content's getting stale. And then 2 weeks later, you were diagnosed with cancer. So
that was
be careful
crazy.
but then you were like, at least I have content.
I know. Well, I was like, because at the time I remember saying, maybe I should make like a documentary about something and do that on my social media. And then it became the documentary. I never expected that. But I do remember that vividly. And I have talked about that before, how I said those words. And then shortly thereafter, that became my content changed. But yeah, that was the time.
All right. One other joke idea that I had, and then we can go on to our stories for today. But I had this one in the middle of the night. An anxious person would never be able to think of 3 wishes from a genie because they would ruminate on all the things that could possibly go wrong with their wishes. So they'd never be able to pick a wish because they'd constantly be like, well, how could this be misinterpreted? How could this go wrong? Everything. So I think it would just
overthink. Oh, and I have, that's a good one. I mean, because I would have the opposite problem. I wouldn't be able to decide. Like I'd have to make a decision.
I did a joke once about, I said, it was about like not being good at making decisions and overthinking. And I was like, I'm so bad at making decisions that one time Dad told me, he's like, you're going to be if I'm ever on like life support, you get to make the decision because I know you'll ruminate it and it'll give me a few extra days.
That's what he said.
I think, yeah. I have a very distinct memory of him saying that to me. I'm like, oh, thanks. The vote of confidence over here.
Oh my God.
So all of these will come together, but I thought those are all just funny thoughts I've had right before bed.
Crazy. Those are thoughts. I wish I had funny thoughts before I went to bed. I have like, oh my God, I didn't do this before. Oh my God, I forgot to do that.
Well, sometimes I have that.
I'm always writing things on my to-do list. I need one eye open, although I don't want an eye mess, but I have to open one eye and type it in. I have to do before I take my contacts out, though. That's the difference. So
I'm just glad you take your contacts out now. You used to always sleep with your contacts in.
I did. Just sleep with them. I don't know. Now I take them out every night religiously.
Good.
You happy? Okay. Yes. Yeah. Good.
All right.
A lot of life lessons.
This week, I figured we could talk about some spring break stories. I don't know if you have any.
Well, I was laughing because I thought, spring break, aren't we definitely dating ourselves with that? Meaning, you're dating yourself as a young person, because back in the day for us, there was no such thing as spring break. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't do anything during college. It wasn't like woo, I see all people now, they do spring break and they get to go on these fabulous vacations to who knows where, Barbados. I remember Tommy going to St. Thomas once on spring break. I'm like, ugh, to be a millennial.
Oh my God.
So my thing is I don't have spring break per se stories because I never did anything, but I have.
You did spring break with us as kids. I don't know if that would be.
Oh, no, I was thinking of like things I did with my friends that they weren't necessarily on spring break, but that might be comparable to your spring break stories. Yeah. So
Okay,
that's what we'll do for me. So Kelly, if you're listening, Kim, if you're listening, buckle up because you're about to be outed.
Oh my God.
My friends that I was in trouble with all the time. Okay. You can go first.
No, I just told you to go first.
What have you done for spring break though? Did you go away on spring break things, or you thinking about things?
Fine, I'll do I mean, most of the time because I was lame, I would just come home for spring break and hang out with you or go on vacation with you and Dad. But the one year that I studied abroad, I went on spring break to Thailand. So that's my one big spring break story because so many things.
Jeez.
So
you went big. Let's just say that. If you're going to do it, there's no messing around.
Well, because
big. Yeah.
Being in Australia, going to Thailand is like going to Europe from like the East Coast. It's like a 6-hour flight. It's easy to get to. It's like not a big deal.
Amazing. So you're lucky.
I went with, I'm trying to count, 5 other people. I think it was 6 of us. And we went to Thailand and we went through like a tour company and we did Bangkok and Chiang Mai, and then we did the islands, like the PP Islands. We did so much, and we also did an elephant sanctuary, and we did a boat night. All of this is just like I just had something that I remembered. But let me just start from the beginning. So, Bangkok, first night we're there. It's April. They have a festival every year in Thailand called like Songkran. I'm probably gonna fuck up the pronunciation, but it's a water festival. And what happens is the entire city, country turns into a giant water gun fight.
Oh my gosh.
We hop off the plane in Bangkok and and
that's what you walk into.
And we have our bags. We just took an 8-hour flight and we were getting buckets of water and mud thrown on us.
What?
As we're trying to walk and find our hostel.
I had
none of us have phone service. And we get there and we're soaked.
And who were you with? Were you with Monica?
I was with Eva? Monica, not Eva.
Okay.
Eva did spring break with her dad, but I was with Monica. I was with our friend Grant, Sarah, and Jessica.
Oh my God. Okay. So I don't know if I knew this, and maybe you've told me, but I don't remember knowing this. But that you came off a plane. Okay. I remember seeing video of you swimming with elephants and things like that. But.
Oh yeah, well we did that. But so first day is just that's what's happening. And so we spend our first day in Bangkok getting water guns and like participating in a water fight, essentially.
That's crazy.
We didn't do really anything else touristy. Well, we went to the temples, but like the big thing we did was like we did these water gun fights with everybody. And it was just why like everyone's in the street. Like just imagine you're walking through like a Little Italy or Times Square and like the hostess at the restaurant is like has water guns and it's just like shooting everybody as you go down the street.
That is so amazing. That's amazing.
And so that was
tradition.
one fun part. Then the second part of our trip, we went into an elephant sanctuary and we stayed like in the jungle and we took like an overnight bus. I'm trying to remember like the things that happened. I remember that I had my period and I was like trying out the Diva cup and I didn't put it in right. So I wake up from this overnight bus massacre.
Oh my God.
And
Truly.
and it's Thailand. Sorry for any men listening. But we were on this 8-hour, it was like an overnight bus, which we had to walk through water guns to get to. Oh my God. Get on the bus. We stop halfway. I realize I'm having period issues. And then we're in the jungle. So the bathrooms are just holes in the ground. Oh and I'm trying to like wash my clothes. Poor Monica. I think I snapped at her and I was just like, an hour later, I was like, I'm so sorry. It was just so uncomfortable. And she's like, I get it. It's fine. And I was like,
Monica.
And then,
the best.
So then we do the elephant sanctuary and that's really fun. But we're staying like in the jungle. And part of the funny part about we're just like, it's just like there's no rules or like no rules, but it's like, you know, everywhere, everything you do here, it's like sign this release, sign this paperwork, you're signing your rights away. And here it's just like hop on a bus. We're going to go see some elephants and we're going to go feed them bananas.
And at any moment you could fall out of the bus or something.
Exactly.
Right?
At one point we're like cliff jumping sort of. It was like 5 feet. And it's just like, no chaperones. But there was a funny joke the whole trip because anytime we'd go swimming, it was like the 5 of us were all swimming, we're joking, and everyone would make me laugh. And then I would start like drowning because I was like laughing so hard. And they were like, Juli can't swim. That was like the moral of the story. So then by the end of the trip, I started wearing life jackets in the water.
Are you kidding me? Oh
no. God. And I have a picture because at one point we went snorkeling and everyone else was tired from swimming. So they all were holding on to me.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, you bitches should have. I think I do somewhere.
Do you have? You must have journals of these things because you always were writing in journals. Like that was your thing. And the thing is, I don't know that I know any of these stories, you know, because it wasn't like you were calling me every day. Like now I feel like I'm more in touch with you day to day, just because the nature of life. But you're like, and I was not a helicopter mom where I was like, how are you doing every single day? I was just doing other things. You know what I mean?
All right. I found my Australia blog.
You?
What? Sorry. No.
You? That I wasn't on top of you every single day.
No.
Okay.
I found my blog because I like wrote all the things. God. I don't know how like honest I was in the blog part. We woke up refreshed this morning and ready to explore Bangkok.
That's such a lie. You probably were drinking all night. What did you do anything? Okay, I'm going to ask the question though. Did you do anything that you thought at the time, I cannot tell my mother? And then
I mean, no, because I literally got a tattoo and then
I
called you guys. Okay. So no.
Such a different childhood. Such a different childhood. I can't even imagine. I literally can't.
Oh, and I will say, yeah, the tattoo happened on spring break because then we went in the PP Islands. And we did the PP Islands. Which was like, when you think about, I don't know, like Southeast Asia, it's like, and the beaches, like that's what it is. And that's where I got a tattoo. And I got my little needle bamboo tattoo.
I know.
I was so brave.
You were brave even though you almost wanted to faint. And just to give you a reference point of like how different the childhood is for you versus me, is that first off, this wasn't even childhood. You were in college, number one. And now I want you to cut to Aunt Catherine is like 50, I think, and decides to get a tattoo. Doesn't tell our parents because she knows that they're going to be, you know, whatever. And she gets like little cat paws on her lower back. And at some point, I guess when the parents were moving and Catherine was helping them, and she bent over in the storage shed when she was helping them pack. And my mother saw the tattoo and was immediately crying. She was 50 years old. She wasn't like 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember one time I got a henna tattoo and grandma freaked out seeing that on me. And I'm like, it's going to go away in a week.
Oh, I don't even know. I didn't even know about that.
It's like after prom or something.
Oh my God. It's just very, very different childhoods. And I've thought about getting a tattoo even as an older person. I'm like, I want to get a tattoo. That'd be so fun. But I don't have anything that I feel like I want to get. So I can't really do it unless I know.
Part of me is like, I want to get another tattoo, but then I'm like, then I think about fainting and how like I want to get another piercing. And then I think about like, is it worth the mental turmoil of potentially fainting in public? No.
That's a different way to stop yourself though.
I will say the last funny thing of my Thailand story, it was like so much fun, and looking back on it, I'm like so happy I went. It was like very chaotic, but very college, very fun, lots of memories. Monica and I still talk about moments from this trip even after the fact. And I guess maybe one thing I maybe wouldn't have told you is that we had one crazy night out in PP Islands because you could get buckets of alcohol for $2.
Oh, geez.
So we were
probably do know about this vaguely,
hammered across the island trying to like figure out how to get back to the hotel. This was the night I decided I was going to get a tattoo, but then I didn't get it till the next morning. And the next morning we had to leave for a boat tour. And we all had to wake up at like 9 a.m., check out of our hotel and get on a boat. And it was painful. And I have a picture of everybody just looking dead. And everyone looks horrible. And it was so funny going on this boat tour because it was like an overnight boat tour. And we're like, oh, this is like cool. Like, you know, you think overnight boat. I'm like, I did BVI sailing trip. Like, I can do boats overnight. It was like a fisherman's boat.
Oh,
and for sleeping, they gave us those gym mats, you know, when you like are doing like crunches in PE. And they're like, here's a mat. That's 50 people. Also, it was like a couple. Like we were the only people that weren't couples and weren't in our 30s or 40s or 50s. We were just like the young 5 people. And then we had to sleep with everybody communally on the roof of this boat.
Funny. That is funny.
And it was like, and it's like rocking. So you're like,
did you get seasick on that trip?
I don't think so. Cause it's like a big enough boat and we were going really slow.
Oh, anyway, such adventure. You've had such adventures. And cause me at this very same age, what was I doing? I will tell you. So glad you asked. Summer at the Jersey Shore.
Woo!
Bradley Beach, renting a 1-bedroom that I think something like 6 or 8 of us were in. Like we shared this one king bed for all of us. So it was very similar in that we all slept in this one bed. But it was not on a boat in Thailand. And it was us peeking out a window watching, because we could see other couples in other rooms in this, because it was I will say it's a hotel. It was called the Arlington or the North Arlington Hotel or something like that. And you could see into another hotel when you look through the windows, and we could see another couple literally having sex in another bedroom. This is us. We're all watching. It was
it's like the Friends episode.
Pretty much. And, yeah, there was some moments, but it wasn't bathing with elephants or, you know, bopping around Thailand on a boat. It was literally going from DJs dancing and swinging our belts to the Arlington Hotel where we all slept in one bed on top of each other. A little different.
Fun though. It's still fun. Also, like,
it was fun memories.
I didn't do anything like that on the Jersey Shore ever. Like, I feel like all my crazy adventure things are because I went and like got away from, I don't know, like my friends from home, like not in a bad way, like, oh, I got away from, but like it was always going out of my comfort zone and doing something by myself.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't have anything like super crazy.
Yeah, no.
Like Thailand's probably like the craziest thing I've ever done.
Oh, you went to Africa? Are you kidding?
Oh my God.
Mosquito bites?
Sometimes I think about that. I'm like, how did I? Steven wants to go camping really bad. And I think sometimes I'm like very apprehensive and like nervous to go camping because I think, oh, we're going to go camping. And I think Africa, because we didn't camp growing up. The first time I went camping was in the depths of the African jungle.
We didn't camp. We're not campers. We didn't camp.
So like I equate camping to being in 95-degree heat with 80% humidity, wearing long sleeves and long pants and getting mosquito bites and bathing in a river, to camping, when in reality, like going to Joshua Tree and like having a tent
that's
a mile from town is like
glamping.
Yeah, it's probably glamping. But I get like freaked out because I think I get like, not that it was like a traumatic trip by any means, but it definitely was like rough.
Oh my God.
And then I think about, I think that's why I get like nervous camping. And I'm like, oh my God.
I get it. I understand because you're having like memories that's what you're relating it to.
Well, I need to write all this down.
Yeah, you should really.
I mean, I do have journals. I feel like I got to look for my journals in LBI or something because I know I have a journal from.
I think there's a bin of journals. I remember coming upon something going, oh
my God. I need to look
I wouldn't even look at them, but there's like a bunch of notebooks, you know. And
this summer I'll have to take
You got to browse.
I mean, because I always was a journaler for some reason.
You were a journaler. I love that.
I always said that I wanted to tell, I wanted to be an author growing up and like tell stories. So I feel like it kind of checks out that I journaled.
Yeah. Yeah, and you like writing. You just wrote the whole website in a day. I'm like, how the hell you didn't even use AI? I'm like, I would have to just AI the whole thing and then figure it out.
No, AI can't make up going to the elephants and bathing with them and giving them bananas and then jumping in the water. I was telling Steven about this because of the Songkran, like the water festival. We were talking about it because White Lotus is taking place in Thailand, and Monica texted me if we got to a certain episode yet, because this festival happens in White Lotus apparently, or they reference it.
Oh my God.
But we haven't watched it yet.
That's cool that you lived through it. You're lucky. You had such a good childhood. It's good. No, it's good.
Thanks.
I can relate.
This wasn't supposed to make anyone sad.
No, it's not making you sad, but I'm going to tell you because like
you had cool things. You went to Australia. You went to Europe
for work.
You worked.
Yeah, I did things with work for sure. But when I did this with my friends, the biggest part that became camping for us was there was one bathroom we all had to share and one shower. And we used to like laugh about how the water pressure was so thin that you'd have to, if you got like a hair on your arm, you had to do this whole thing to get the hair.
God.
It was really crazy.
Like finagle the hair off.
And then when the bathroom was taken, you couldn't even use the bathroom. So there was one night we came home and we were all like, we were laughing hysterically. We had, needless to say, a little too much to drink and maybe possibly smoke at that point. And
Helen.
Maybe. I didn't do a lot of that. But occasionally here and there, I got
proud of you.
Thing. Never, all through college, I had a friend who was like, oh, she wanted me to smoke. And I'm like, no, I don't smoke. And then
now you're the queen of gummies.
Not the queen of gummies. I barely do that. But it was, anyway, there was one time, and I remember we had a sink in the room, and literally I had to pee in the sink because I had to go to the bathroom so bad, and someone was in the bathroom.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
And I'm like, that's like the most amount of camping I've ever done.
If you could go back now and plan a spring break, knowing what you know about spring break culture now, what would you plan? Like, what do you think you either missed out on, or if like you were younger, you and your friends really would have liked? I'm going to say
I'm thankful that there wasn't the spring breaks like they have now when I was younger. I'm actually thankful because I do think that's like potentially dangerous, potentially like all the things I feel like, wow, I escaped that. And I'm sort of glad that you somehow escaped it because I didn't have to worry about my daughter at spring break. I didn't have to worry about it. I'm so thankful. So
good thing about me is
I missed anything.
I don't love crowds and I don't love, I mean, even back then I wasn't like drinking constantly.
No. You had not unfortunately, but for you had seen Tommy drunk. So you were like, I'm not
scarred.
You're scarred. You must have been at a very impressionable age when that happened. So that helps. You were 10. You were in middle schoolish, right?
Peak Dare era too.
So hilarious. Yeah, well, no. So I don't feel like I missed anything in that regard, and I do feel that my work travel experiences were so valuable that was what I got as my bonus. That when I got my first job, I was in Australia, I was in Rome, I was in Italy, I was in Canada, all the places shooting commercials. And we've talked about that. And I do feel that was my, my time.
Yeah.
And so I'm good. I don't feel like I missed anything. One story I wanted to throw Kelly under the bus. So I do have to tell one story about me and her. Okay. Separate from any of the shore stories. So Kelly and I guess she always loved men in uniform. This was her thing. I love men in uniform. She still to this day will say that she loves men in uniform. So we somehow must have talked about we're going to go drive up to West Point because there was these single dances that you could go to at West Point and you could meet the soldiers in uniform, the men in uniform. So Kelly was into it. So of course I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I'm always ready. Let's go. And I was like the ringleader a little bit. So we got in the car and the two of us were ready to go to the dance and we drove up the Palisades Parkway and my dyslexia, unrecognized back then, kicked in because I saw a sign that said Palisades Parkway South, and it was like to the left, and we were in the left lane. And I was like, south, north. I swapped it in my head, and I thought, oh, I want to veer that way to make sure I'm still going north, meaning south. So I backwards did in my head, and I veered, and the car, it was a U-turn, and the car spun, and we spun off that highway, and we spun into a ditch, the two of us in the car. Stunned, like to this day. I never told my parents. To this day, Grandma does not know this story, by the way. We're stunned. We're sitting there and I just look at her and I go, are you okay? And like every part of me is tingling from like panic. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, should we keep going? And she goes, I guess so. So we backed out of the ditch, got back on the highway.
And you met those soldiers.
She did. I think she dated a soldier, maybe. I don't even know. I have no memory after that because like my memories are always in the most traumatic parts of a thing. So I won't ever know the finish. So just like when I was talking about the birthday party that I was my surprise party, I have no memory of the party. I just remember the moment where I was traumatized because to get me down in the basement, my mother was screaming at me. So that's all I remember from that party. Yeah. So I only remember the parts that are so traumatic. And the rest of it's like, I'm sure it was fine, but I don't remember anything about it. Yeah. But we went to the dance. We kept going.
Well, woohoo. I'm glad.
So Kelly, thanks for being with me. And nobody knows that story until now. And now it's out there on the pod.
You got to have your spring break partner. For mine, I think Monica was my spring break partner.
Good thing Grandma doesn't listen to the podcast because now she'd know the story.
Yeah.
If you put it on social media, I don't know if this should be a clip though, Steven. So this might not want to
clip it.
This might not want to be a teaser. Can you imagine
that? A teaser.
That's how she finds out.
She's fine, Grandma. You don't have to worry. She made it out in one piece. There was no accident. She didn't meet a soldier. Nothing worked out.
The Chevy Nova was fine. The Chevy Nova was fine. That's what we were driving.
She's a good driver.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. Proven otherwise now. That's so funny.
This was a fun one.
This was fun.
I need to write some bits about Thailand now. I'm like going back and thinking about it. My goodness. Lots of material there.
You should look and see a few. Well, you know what? At the shore, there's definitely notebooks, and I'm sure there's travel journals in there. So
I know. I will look at
those. Do some research. You could take. Wait. This is such a great idea. I got an idea for you.
Okay. Tell me.
What if you have a whole comedy series based on clips from my journal? And you take the clip from your journal, because there's a woman who reads her journal from 19 something, whatever. And she just reads it. So the real day, she wrote a journal every day from whatever, like let's say 50 years ago, I'm making up the amount of time. Yeah. And she reads her journal from 50 years ago on the same day. So May 1st, 1960, making it up. And she reads today, whatever the date is. And you could do something like that where you take the clips from your journal and you read and you go, if this happened now or something.
I'm going to need to look through those journals over the summer.
I like it. All right. Add that to the list. Write it down so we don't forget.
I won't.
That's a good one. All right. This was great. Thank you for thinking of the idea to talk about our bad girl times. Not so bad though. Barely. The two of us
were tatted. Wrong finger. Tatted.
You got tatted. I peed in a sink. Whoopee.
I've peed in many a bush.
Oh my God, it's out. I can't wait for Kim. And Kim is my friend who was involved in the peeing in the sink story, so she'll remember that one.
Wild child Helen.
Whoopee. I'm sure there's more than that, but I don't know. I have to really go deep and think of them. All right, this was good. Yours truly,
Helen and Juli.
And if you liked the episode, please leave us a review and tell us your spring break stories.
Yes.
I can't wait for Kelly and Kim to weigh in on this.
That'll be good. And we'll be back next week and I'll have some jokes.
Okay, let's go. Maybe I'll bring a few jokes too. Okay, you heard it here. When I say it, I do it. So I'll make sure I bring some jokes. All right, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.